I'm just thinking about something for this week's cast, and it's the notion of how we scapegoat the other, how we make them the reciprocal for lots of what goes on in our families, our lives. Let's explore that for this session. I'm Dr. Dwight Turner, this has been The Other. Let's get started. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Dwight Turner. This is Being the Other. And as always, it's a pleasure to talk to yourselves about aspects of othering and otherness and so on. And I'm just sitting around one day thinking about how the other is often in families, for example, or in cultures, in cultural groups and so on, is made to hold lots of the ills for that particular family. And there's a wonderful, this is a very sort of Jungian idea, if you like, because I'm a psychotherapist by trade, so it's a very Jungian idea of that one person, that one group who, because we're not all living in isolation, we all live as part of systems of groups of people, of families and so on, who intertwine, who work together. And often what can happen is one person or one group out of that system can often find themselves labeled as the bad one, as the one who needs to be criticized, as the one who needs to be teased or put down or whatever it might be. And they end up holding lots of the negativity, lots of what is deemed unacceptable for that whole family, community or grouping. As I've talked about many a time on these videos, when we cast parts of ourselves that we don't want, we have to find somewhere or someone for them to be held. And one way of doing that is by finding ourselves a scapegoat. It's not uncommon. It's an idea that actually goes all the way back to sort of religious and biblical times. There's plenty of cultures who have versions of this same sort of story, whereby a certain animal, in some cultures it was a sheep or a goat or whatever, would be labeled with the sins of the rest of that group. And they'd be sent off into the wilderness to carry those actual parts of that group away with them in some way. Families, groups can do exactly the same thing. But in doing so, they don't actually cast the other outside. They still maintain their connection to the other, but they don't want to acknowledge the other is there. When you're on the receiving end of that, though, this is also very important, that's incredibly painful because you're not always being seen for who you are or for what you represent. What you're being seen for is for all the things that you haven't necessarily done. And sometimes they may be things that you have done as a way of getting some sort of attention. That makes sense. Hopefully it does make sense. This is very important. It's a more sort of somber, straightforward message today to yourselves. And actually going to leave you with the final question. How many of you have felt that you've been stereotyped or labeled in some way or scapegoated as something that actually has nothing to do with you at all? If you have felt that, then please put something down in the comments below. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to yourselves in these simple, brief podcasts, just talking to you about aspects of otherness and so on. And I look forward to talking to you in the very near future. Take good care. I'm Dr. Dwight Turner. This has been The Other. Bye-bye.